From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Monday's edition of For the People on this August the 21st, 2017. Seems like a lot of folks are looking forward to getting a glimpse at this eclipse. And I'd have to say that I truly am a little captivated from the whole thing, but I have to be indoors and have to watch it on a monitor. A lot of you are working today, so you had to watch it on a monitor as well. But it's fascinating. I think it's very interesting to see this phenomenon because it just doesn't happen every day. And please do not be tempted to look at the sun, even though it seems to be fascinating. If you don't have the right glasses, don't do it. Don't take the risk. Watch a monitor. I mean, you only got one set of eyeballs, and the last I checked, I don't think they have robotic eyes. So personally, I'd like to hang on to the natural ones as long as I can. Even if you're losing some vision, you don't want to lose what you got. But you know, there's going to be folks that you tell them not to touch the burner. What do? They touch the burner. They got to get burnt. So that's why ER rooms are repairing, and they're already. Speaking of preparing, Donald Trump's going to be giving a speech on Afghanistan tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern time. You want to tune in, and I think you should. Every American should tune in because we have been at war for over 15, 16 years. It's been a long time that we've been over there fighting, and we've lost a lot of men and women. And it's been one of the longest lasting wars in recent history. It's a never-ending war. Well, according to the experts, there's going to be a change in strategy, and what a lot of people presume the change in strategy is going to be sending in more troops. But this is a very anticipated speech to the American people. You have to tune in. Basically, the effort is to beat back the Taliban. They're wanting to eliminate the terror cells. And they want to really, truly end the longest war in U.S. history. Because it has been. The longest war in U.S. history, folks, we've been involved with fighting terrorism over there. This is where the cells get radicalized, and then they come over here. And the idea is fight them there and not here. So what are people thinking about all of this? What are you thinking about all of this? Now, remember, Trump's doing all of this without the chief strategist that he had at his side this last summer, Steve Bannon. He's gone back to Brett Bart. He said to fight the big fight against the lying media. Donald Trump, by the way, urged the fake news to listen to Falwell and called the media dishonest. And another tweet, he says there of Liberty University was fantastic. The fake news should listen to what I had said. Thanks, Jerry. Thank you. The very dishonest fake media is out of control. He's lashing out at the media. President at the same time dealing with the most solemn responsibilities of the office, whether to send more troops into harm's way. So that's going to be the big question. A lot of people, again, think that that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to up the troop concentration to be able to end this war quickly, and it's probably going to be an unbelievable number, I would project, to be able to do it. And, Obama, he didn't start the fires, so to speak, but a lot of the generals, a lot of the rank and file that are on the ground there in Afghanistan been asking, and Obama just he wouldn't do it. But it's clear that there has got to be a strategy to deal with something that has eluded so many for so long as to what is the end game strategy. How do we end it? And one of them is training the Afghan army so they can defend themselves against these radicals. And to me, that would seem like a practical idea. So let's hope that we do have a plan that works. Months ago, the Pentagon was settling on a plan to send about 3,800 additional troops to strengthen what they said then was the Afghan army, which is stuck basically in what some call deteriorating situation with the Taliban insurgency. Now, within the White House, questions persist about the wisdom or investing further resources in war. But the Taliban have long used Pakistan as a sanctuary, complicating efforts to defeat the insurgency in Afghanistan and stabilize the country. The region includes other actors who pose political problems for Washington, including Iran, which is not a big surprise, but has influence in western Afghanistan and funding these terror cells. So right now, where we're at, the U.S. has about 8,400 troops in Afghanistan. And their primary role are to train and advise Afghan forces and to hunt down and kill members of Al-Qaeda and other extremist groups. We'll be watching. We'll be listening. We're praying that something good comes out of all of this, whether it's bringing more troops in, but to win the good fight, we need to be praying, because if more troops are brought there, you know, there's always going to be casualties of that, and unfortunately, it's just something that goes along with the territory. There was a Barbie doll. You have a Barbie doll? Do you have a kid that loves a Barbie doll? Well, terrorists have been eyeing the Barbie doll. A Barbie doll and a meat grinder were each packed with explosives. That's what I'm talking about. These were weapons of choice, apparently, of a terror cell behind a foiled plot to blow up an Australian airliner. A Lebanese official was saying today, he says the bombs didn't make it aboard, thankfully, the intended flight, because the price of luggage there was, rather, it's not a price of luggage, it was the piece of luggage that was hidden. It was 15 pounds over its airline limit. And that's why the airliner did not go down. Tell me that wasn't a miracle, folks. Miracles happen every day. I see a police officer wearing protective gear. He's talking to fellow officers as he stands in the doorway at a home after Australian counterterrorism police arrested 4 people in the raids. But ISIS directed this whole operation that was went awry. They sent the explosives, and we're going to bring down an Australian plane. And folks, they're getting more clever. Plastic explosives, detonating devices. It just goes to show you, folks, that if they can't get into the cockpit, they can get into the luggage compartment with toys. And because the bag was overweight, that's what threw them. And then for whatever reason, the two decided they weren't going to get on another plane or bring their luggage anywhere else, and that was the end until they started actually acting spooky, and they traced the Barbie doll, and they cut it open. They found all of the stuff, and God knows how they did it without it blowing up. People on bomb squads, I tell you what, man, you got to be pretty smart to be able to get that from stop ticking, if you will. The United Arab Emirates National Airline said it's working with Australian police in the ongoing investigation But Etihad Airlines, the smallest of the three long-haul Gulf carriers that fly to Australia, refused to confirm it had been targeted. So not really saying a lot. There was a second plot alleged by authorities, by the way, that have involved a chemical device to release highly toxic gas. And that was claimed to have been in the early stages of planning. And the Australian officials have charged Khalid Mohammed Kahait with 2 counts of planned terrorist acts and have said the men began communicating with ISIS in April. They were arrested July 29th and are due to appear in court later this year. There was about 400 passengers on that plane, including 120 Lebanese. He said the 4 brothers wanted to punish the UAE in Australia for being part of the U.S.-led coalition that is targeting the extremists. And thus now you understand why I was very thorough in the story, but that's where it leads to. People not happy with us going after ISIS. So they're getting desperate. And they will use whatever means of disposal they possibly can get their hands on. And remember, Iran continues to fund, they are the leading state sponsor of terrorism around the world, and not just around the world, but here. They get money here. And the wonderful magazine that ISIS uses is called Inspire. And that's exactly what they want to do, is inspire would-bes to carry out these heinous attacks with vehicles, with gas, with Barbie dolls, whatever they can get their hands on. Interesting times we live, folks. But the more they feel like they're going to get snuffed out in their presence, they're going to hit. And they're going to continue hitting like this. And tonight, pivotal speech. But we'll be watching 9 o'clock, the President of the United States on new strategy for rooting out the terrorists in Afghanistan. National Guard, by the way, being deployed in a big way. And the reason being the big way? There's huge wildfires in the Pacific Northwest with all the news going on. You probably didn't know this. The Montana National Guard was sent out on Saturday to Lolo. That's just 12 miles west of Missoula to help contain a massive wildfire. 155 soldiers monitoring 35 security checkpoints south of Missoula, and where an evacuation order is in effect. They relieved law enforcement officers from the checkpoints so they could return to regular duties. They say, we've been preparing for this fire for the last 3 days, and we're getting tired. It will be good to get our guys home so they can get some sleep. This is the Ravalli County Sheriff Steve Holton said in anticipation of the crew's arrival. But definitely very dry. Estimated roughly 906,000 Missoulian reported. That's a lot. At 44 square miles of wooded area, mountain terrain has burned. 27,976. Wow. It's a lot of torching going on. It's a lot of areas. So that's why such a big deployment here. Montana Governor Steve Bullock declared fire emergencies for the state, which authorizes the state's National Guard to help with fire efforts whenever they're needed. So even the National Guard is deployed. They do this all over the country when needed. The fire, by the way, it started on July 15th when lightning struck. And here it is, we're August 21st. That no wonder fire is still burning. That's an enormous fire. So we pray for our National Guardsmen, fire departments, and efforts to be able to, hopefully we get some good rain to get that fire quieted up. That's a tough job. You want to put out a fire? My goodness, thank